All right, so geopolitics. Why don't we go down different continents around the world?
When we define Renaissance or Neo-Renaissance, that is the arts, music, technology, science, innovation to improve and better human life. The days of Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci was a lot of things.
He was a lot of things.
He was an
Multi-talented.
engineer. He said one day people will fly in the sky.
He did.
Oh, he did. Isaac Newton, in his time,
Right.
they developed calculus. Calculus is the power of technology, the power, the backbone of everything. The agrarian revolution gave birth to industrial revolution. Why? Because people needed refrigeration, people needed vehicle. So the steam engine propelled everything. The steam engine, the old trains, massive ships.
The time frame we are talking about is 1400s.
Yeah.
Then you have Generation X, 1965 to 1980.
Yeah.
Then you have millennials,
Yeah.
millennial generation.
I'm millennial.
You're millennial.
Yeah.
And then you have Generation Z.
You are Gen Z? The First World War shaped the globe into completely. Every World War changed geography, completely changed geography. Second World War completely changed so many things. So before the First and Second World War, we didn't have a specified world order. It's you go, you occupy, you take. Go, occupy, take. We have the British Empire, the French Empire, Spanish Empire, with the colonization. Yeah? They go, they colonize. If they find it ideal, they eliminate and settle there. If they don't find it ideal, they occupy, they do their stuff. When they finish, they get out. So, as the empire broke into many pieces, from Italy to all these other pieces of land. So in the 14th century, for example, Leonardo da Vinci was born in Florence, Vinci. But he did all of his work in Florence. Today, Florence is a preserved city. If you go to Florence, it looks like the medieval Enlightenment age.
This looks amazing.
That's one of the places everyone should visit. That's where modern banking began.
Wow.
Arts.
So these
painting.
buildings are from 14th century.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see, it looks different.
Yeah, oh, wow. This is amazing.
Florence, Rome, those are places everyone. Athens.
Oof. It's amazing.
And then we have the Pisa.
Yeah. Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Yeah. Florence is a historic place.
So Da Vinci was brought to Florence. Where did Michelangelo? Where was he?
I'm not deeply into
No, not Michelangelo. Because I've heard like these. There was two of these people who were like geniuses who had like this not rivalry. They had a bit of ego clash. I think it was Michelangelo and Da Vinci. Could be. When was Michelangelo? Let me see. Michelangelo timeline. So Michelangelo's timeline was from early 1475. Michelangelo includes the following events: early life 1475 to basically 1546. When was what's his name? Da Vinci. Yeah, Da Vinci timeline. Yeah, 1452 to 1508. Yeah, so they had like a bit of over.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was from 1452 to 1505. He was 1475 to 1546. So they lived in the same time frame.
Okay.
Not the same time frame, but like they
But I
had
don't
like
think
overlapping.
there was any rivalry to Da Vinci.
No?
No. He was a special case.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. So so these men were out there. There were so many geniuses. Isaac Newton was around this time. Yeah, I think he was around 1600s, right? Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton. That he came.
Newton timeline. Isaac Newton. Yeah, 1643. Yeah, 1600s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the timeline where there's probably more people. So, but these three are like the biggest names out there.
Oh yeah. And
Like
also,
Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Isaac Newton, Shakespeare.
Isaac Newton had a rivalry with Godfrey.
Was he another inventor?
Yeah, mathematician.
Interesting. So Shakespeare timeline was, when was Shakespeare's timeline? Yeah, same time, 1500s. Godfrey, do you know his full name? Godfrey
Just related to Newton.
timeline. Yeah, again like 1600s. So yeah, so that's why.
So there are those people who say Godfrey invented calculus.
Right.
There are those who say Newton invented calculus.
Okay. So 1400 to 1700, you get this amazing people.
In England, there was a pandemic. When the pandemic came, everyone was told to go back to their rural homes because the cities are overcrowded and the disease was spreading very fast. So Newton went home and he had 2 years in his rural home. In those 2 years, he came back and people could never notice him anymore. He discovered so many things differently.
In 2 years.
Yeah, because he had already started the whole process of discovering. So in those 2 years in his rural home, he did some things that people don't understand. That was my inspiration when COVID hit very hard. I was reading about history of pandemics. I came across this. Man.
So right after pandemic, that's where Newton started inventing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because he had 2 years in his rural home. So he developed most of his work.
So he didn't go out. He was just sitting,
No,
because it was pandemic.
Focused.
That's crazy.
It is.
That is crazy. So he was isolated, just working on his craft. So that happened, and the world progressed. There were so many discoveries, so many inventions.
Changed.
Everything changed. There's appreciation for arts and all that stuff. And
the things that people you assume traditionally was a low life job. For example, building, piping, things like that, became highly respected because they were handled with calculations. They reached a point where ordinary people can no longer understand simple machines, how they are made, using calculations and equations. So these people are regarded high level people. Elite. They became exceedingly elite class.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So they created their own class.
Wow.
So the change was immense. They new machines and systems and city structures, buildings, especially churches and seminaries that became big universities today. Most of the major universities, old universities, they were seminaries, churches. So they are using them to train civil servants. And initially they had theology. The theology was given, and then they started developing courses for civil servants. If you become a mayor, you go to the seminary, you learn how to lead people, how to public administration, and philosophy, and comparative theology. And later, when Principia was published, mathematics and physics, everything started now getting into these seminaries. So knowledge started expanding. And finally, we have universities, school systems, and quietly, we had the agrarian revolution.
Yeah, so then the 17th century comes along and Renaissance is kind of like coming down. Why did it come down? Because it's such a wonderful time, but now, then why did it stop?
So it did not stop. It grew bigger. So churches, for example,
but when we look up Renaissance period, it shows from 13th century or like 14th century to 17th century.
Yeah.
There's an end to it.
Yeah.
So why did
Because
it end?
the end is because a new advancement, a new era was
Which is
born.
better than Renaissance.
Yeah, much better. For example,
Okay.
we have we have something called the Navier-Stokes equations. These are big equations in aerospace, aerodynamics. These equations they have not been solved yet. It's the Navier and Stokes. Those are two men who developed those equations. Those are partial differential equations, so complicated. So there are millions of dollars if anyone solved them. There are about 10 equations in the world that have not been solved. So anyone who solves those will be given $2, $3, $4 million from mathematical associations in the world. Yeah, those equations were developed after the Renaissance age, after 1650 and onwards. Not only that, the Bernoulli's principle, Euler's equation, most of these physics and engineering principles were developed after that. Why? When agrarian revolution came, it started in England. What marked the agrarian revolution is this: mechanization of farming using modern techniques, machines. From simple, instead of throwing your seed, they use seed drills. So they sow in line. Irrigation systems, everything went crazy. So food became abundant. When food becomes abundant, what happens? A portion of the people could sit down and think.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go out hunting for food every day. Now you have excess surplus. Now you can sit down and think.
That's
It is.
yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
So I'm going to you see, we are talking about the geopolitical changes and shifting with the renaissances. Now I will connect it to how colonization was conceived. You see, now these people now are having abundant food.
Right.
And if you have abundant food, what do you need? You need storage. What different types of storages? You need granary, and you also need freezing systems. So the agrarian revolution gave birth to industrial revolution. Why? Because people needed refrigeration, people needed vehicle, people needed the steam engine.
Wow, that's